Hello and welcome to this Mobalytics video. I'm your host Virakayu, and in this one we are going to be taking a look at the best champions that you can use when you want to learn or even switch to a new role. Now we have done videos on setting up your champion pool as well as which roles are best for each elo, and so if you're struggling to get some wins in your current MMO and you're simply looking for an easier way to carry and therefore need to switch roles, we will present 4 to 5 champions for each role that can keep you winning as well as learning the role the quickest without focusing too much on the champion's micro mechanics or anything that can actually hinder your progress in this new role. You don't want to be learning your champion and learning a role at the same time. You want to make sure that the champion learning is done very quickly so that you can focus on learning that role over time, and then once you know the role very well, switch to other champions so that you can learn them because you already know how to jungle. For example, if you're learning how to play a champion and then learning how to play the role at the same time, you're just going to cause yourself to take away from both of those things and in the end just lose a lot of games. Therefore, we are looking for some relatively easier champions for you to use so that you can pick up their mechanics easily while focusing on learning the new role without anything getting in the way. So in the comments, if you are thinking about switching to a new role, let us know why and which role you would like to learn. And without hesitation, let's begin. As a jungle main YouTuber, I have to start with jungle, and I have to start with one of my mains, Warwick. This champion is very good at pretty much everything, except for late game depending on your itemization, but you can get early dragons, you have a very fast level 3, you can't do the AoE camps, but that's fine in Season 10 because you want to get lane impact. You have a lockdown ultimate, you have great CC in your E, as well as the damage reduction, and as I said, itemization provides you multiple ways to build depending on enemy team comps. You win against many junglers in a 1v1 situation, but most importantly, that W gives you that movement speed and attack speed so that you can rotate around the map very quickly to your laners who will not respect enemy jungle pressure. And also when you are getting low in those fights, they will keep fighting you and your auto attacks will get better at healing and doing more damage. So he's a nice deceptive champion, easy to use relatively, lots of skill expression to improve on. He is the quintessential jungler that you should learn if you're thinking of switching to that role. Now on the other hand, we would normally recommend Master Yi, but he does teach you a lot of bad fundamentals about the jungling. Yes, he can scale very nicely, he farms well, but he also lacks a lot of the basics that will translate to other junglers, and so in this situation I would like to recommend Nocturne. He's not that difficult to pick up, Lethal Temple makes him very difficult to deal with in 1v1 situations, he farms well, he does objectives well, he can split push very well, and all of this is because he has his ultimate. This is one of those great ultimates that gets bigger as the game goes on, so it's a bit semi-global in nature. It lets you counter gank and gank with ease, and his attack speed nature coupled with the AD builds means you can take those heralds and dragons very quickly, and you have that added component, as I said, of split pushing because you can ult to fight simply by moving a little bit towards the middle of the map. So Nocturne can give you good early game skirmishing, good objective control, decent early ganks, a wonderful level 6 gank power spike, as well as teaching you a little bit about macro play. Now if you're looking for a team fighting tank, something a bit more engagey, you like to be with your team, you don't like split pushing, you hate vision and so on, Zac is probably the best tank for that at the moment. I would recommend Amumu in general and most junglers would, however his performance isn't exactly that great right now. We're gonna be getting the Balmy Cinders buff right on cue, it will be live by the time this video is out, and so switching to jungle with Zac would actually be a very good choice. Maxing E gives you really long range ganks, you can notice a trend here with the junglers I'm suggesting, easy ganks, good engage. But he also has great chain CC with his E, with his Q stitching together, with the bouncy ultimate. But most importantly, he's very forgiving with his passive. Once you spew into blobbies, if your teammates have the awareness of, more than a goldfish, they can TP to save you. But at the same time, the damage in the early game won't always be enough to finish you off, so once you respawn like the wonderful blobby green phoenix you are, you can simply E back to safety, taunting with the Mastery 4 emote. Now if you like engage, but you also like the damage of the other picks, but you also want to have versatility in game, but also you want a kit that can let you invade the enemy jungle, have good early ganks, then J4 will be your pick. Yes, you could also go Vi, so if you like the idea of Jarvan, Vi is a great backup pick with a more lockdown ultimate, but Jarvan's Cataclysm is just such a game-changing ultimate that keeps him relevant in pro play and high elo meta no matter what. The classic EQ combo is pretty easy to pull off, he's always relevant in the meta. If it's more tanky, build Syndalk, if it's more damage, build Warrior. In fact, if you like assassinating ADCs, building full lethality J4 can actually work, although I don't really recommend starting out with that. It's just under that punchable face, the annoying posture, the giant shoulder pads that are way too big, and the fact that his voice makes him sound like a Primrose Popinjay, if I may use a 1990s Dr. Doom reference, if anyone other than me is old enough to remember that. But in the jungle, you do want to avoid Lee Sin. Ultra high skill cap, lots of pressure, he's a little bit overtuned at the moment, which is giving him a false sense of boost in terms of his win rate. Golden Plat junglers do not play him well in comparison to high elo junglers, and you would spend 100 games just learning how to play Lee Sin while focusing on that instead of focusing on learning the jungle, and that's basically the core point of this video. And basically, I could give you a list of 9 junglers you shouldn't learn how to play, including Nidalee, but Kayn is another one that kinda is a bit of a noob trap. People like him, he's an edgelord, he can turn into an e-boy, whatever you want. The problem is his early game is very weird. You need to know unique power things, unique ganking routes, and the fact that his playstyle is so different to other junglers, you're not really going to be learning jungle for everyone else, you're just going to be learning jungle for Kayn. And in order to keep your youthful minds active and growing, you know, want to keep you stimulated, we are going to randomize the roles a little bit and switch down to ADC. Now, a great one to learn is Miss Fortune. Not only has she been performing very well lately, she's actually not really an ADC. And if you want to attack me in the comments, please attack Fi, that's what he told me. But that's mostly because she's an AD caster, she's mostly ability based. You don't have to kite that much, easy to use her damage, she's good early, great late, has no real pressure in the laning phase or in teamfights because that ultimate is just, you know, wider than Ornn. And so there's no real sense of urgency or pressure. You can focus on learning how to CS, understanding wave management, pushing and pulling, harassing at the same time, rotating for dragons, right-clicking very intensely. And because of this lack of a weak stage and the fact that she can burst, it means her very simple damage combo is great for people learning the role. And because of that safety in her movement speed passive, you can just focus on the role. Another one like that is Caitlyn, and yes, Caitlyn has a ton of skill expression, but back in the day when we didn't have fancy champion selects and things like that, we just had to call a role. If you were the last pick and ADC was left, people would tell you, just go Caitlyn. And this is because she is very safe. She has high range, she has her net, the fact that you can learn the value of auto attacks because she's so focused on that, and that's not just on your CS, that's also on the harass you can dish out because of your enhanced range. Now, because of her passive and the fact that you don't have items, early game can be a bit more ability based. The fact that you can win lane because you've got wave clear in your Q, you can auto push the wave with your auto attacks and again Q, and the fact that her late game can be absolutely monstrous because again auto attacks cannot be dodged, there's no real rush to end the laning phase or even the game. Relax, watch your support carry you, watch your jungler get the dragons, and then eventually you kill people. Now, of course, we have to talk about Ashe in this situation because it provides you another way to carry. A lot of problems with ADCs is that you don't have enough utility to help in games when you're behind, or you can struggle with self-peel and chase down. Ashe in this case has high range, it's great to learn how to kite, especially with your autos and ability, it's very easy to start with and be useful quite quickly. Has great damage, scales well so you do shred later. If fed Ashe in lane, it's very scary. She's spluttering ice in your face and you're trying to run away, it just feels like you can never actually escape. She also has that long range vision scout that you can use over the enemy jungle to keep track of ganks. You know, that is recommended as a jungler. It's very annoying when you're farming Grom, gonna go bottom lane, and then that ass thing flies over your head, you just kind of look at it and go, well, you know, that's 2 minutes of pathing down the drain. And it's very much what it feels like. But with that global ultimate, with the lockdown and CC, you can learn about engage, you can learn about macro, it provides you an additional aspect of ADC that you wouldn't otherwise learn with other picks. Now, if you prefer scaling and you like teamfights and you prefer turning into a tiny Godzilla monster at the end of the game, we do recommend Jinx. Very straightforward, auto attack and shred. You can play with a passive, so it's very easy to kite in teamfights once you get one reset. High range, has AoE damage with those rockets, please do not forget to switch and use them. But because of that, the target selection isn't as important when you have that AoE. And the thing is, you get instant results as soon as you play. Easy to farm, you've got traps for disengage and ganks, you've got that nice zap in your W for the slows, as well as an added range if you need to farm from distance. And like Ashe, a big explosive global ultimate that can really change the course of a gank or teamfight when you use it properly means you're almost guaranteed impact instantly. Now, the things you want to avoid are Lucian and Aphelios. Lucian is high skill capped, combo based. It's basically all or nothing. You're not going into the late game thinking, hey, I get to auto attack and win. You've got to be alpha ADC mode. And while Aphelios is kind of hard at the moment, there's so much to learn and he feels really weird to get to grips with, can be quite punishing when you have no idea what you're doing, and considering you're gonna need to take 3 days to read the tooltip before you even log in, I mean, come on, why? Also, apparently if it's not a full moon, you're not allowed to learn them anyway, so who cares? And now we're going to switch to mid lane. And we have to start with Ahri. Learn your lane dynamics without dying, safe with your ultimate. Once you get 6, basically all ganks can end in failure. You can leap over walls with it. She can be absolutely risk-free with your Q, and therefore you can play very aggressive. If you get engaged on or a gank flanks, use your chump for disengage. If you miss it, you don't leave obviously, but you do have the ultimate backup post 6. But obviously a champion with disengage as well as wave clear means that you can play aggressive or defensively. But most importantly, especially in this meta, is that you have great roaming. You can ult past wards if you really wanted to, but you know, not always useful. This can simply be done by using good jungle pathing. And then you can go visit those ADC friends of ours on the bottom lane, ult in and out of those tower diving situations. Essentially, the late game can kind of swap between mage, wave clear, as well as pure assassin. The one thing you don't want to do is face check a fed Rengar. In terms of the mid lane, you don't want to face check a fed Ahri either because it's guaranteed death. Another plus side is that you're guaranteed at least 2 skins a year, and that's always fun, right? Now, if we had made this list about 3-4 months ago, Diana wouldn't be on it, but right now she is very strong in the mid lane, probably one of the top 3 strongest champions, and she's basically an entry-level assassin. Yes, you can play damage over time, but you can get used to assassin play while not being as punished. She has a very simple kill combo, and compared to other assassins who can have very complex ways of engaging, flanking, and difficulties killing, think of an Evelynn for example that really needs to use the W as a flank before you can simply QE someone, Diana just doesn't have that problem. Now I do want to say she's relatively tanky for an assassin, and basically that's the forgiving part, but a fed Diana with a Rod of Ages and Conqueror can basically feel like a very overcooked piece of rump steak. You might think your measly little human teeth might be able to chew it, but honestly unless you're T-Rex you're gonna be there for at least 10 days, and with Diana basically you'll die after 1. Because of a decent laning and the fact that you can win a 1v1 pretty easily with that combo, once you do get ahead and you're not punished as much early, that gives you roam potential and basically map domination. And you don't need the moon to actually learn her, so that's also another plus. Now before the age of modern champions, when people said learn mid lane, people always questioned should you use Twisted Fate because of the difficulty and understanding macro. However, it teaches you a lot about push and roam. This is the absolute best playstyle for most champions and for solo queue. Roaming and ganking wins games. Now imagine having an ultimate that tells you where everyone else is and lets you almost instantly arrive on location, kind of like instantaneous next day shipping, except it actually works. And the forgiveness of mana problems in lane is actually huge for mid laners. Because you have the blue cards to give you that sustain, you'll learn very quickly about spamming abilities and how to manage that resource very well. This will translate better to other mid lane champions while you learn the intricacies of mid lane. If you have good wave clear, you have more than 52 cards and so can simply easily farm from a distance and it's very hard for you to get pushed in. The damage, while not obscene, is still decent and it can definitely give you room to carry, but you will have to know how to play it well, and so don't think going in you're gonna start 1v9ing from game 1. But it is much easier to pick up than many other champions with the same core principles. Now for the 4th pick, I was going to suggest Orianna, but she's really not doing that great at the moment. Historically considered the baseline for a good mid laner, the fact that her win rate isn't doing so well at the moment leads us to suggest Malzahar. Now Malzahar should probably be in this list anyway, so we should technically extend it from 4 to 5. The thing is, his ultimate lockdown is such an absolute game changer. Getting assassinated? Press R. See someone else over there rotating mid lane? You hate your ADC for trash talking you, and when Rengar goes on her, don't press R, press it on something else. This gives you such great ultimate control. He's also very forgiving in terms of the fact that his abilities are easy to use. Those voidlings can really creep up on unsuspecting enemy mid laners who don't know the champion or the role either. And because basically everyone takes TP on him, that can teach you a lot about macro play in terms of TPing to use a game-changing ultimate. You see something going on the bottom lane that's crucial, TP, press R, and you can immediately turn a gank in your favor. He's also very safe because of that Void Shift passive that makes him immune to crowd control and gives him 90% reduced damage. Add that to a silence on his Q and basically you've got a really wonderful, good entry-level mid lane kit that you can use to climb from silver all the way up to diamond, no problems. Now I understand spreading Void Herbies with Malzahar isn't everyone's cup of tea, but you should still avoid things like Katarina in the mid lane. Yeah, she can really snowball, but you need to know the basics of mid lane. Shove and roam needs to be core. You really need to know to end games quickly before enemy teams start grouping up with their CC and making it difficult for you to get off your full combo. Yeah, she snowballs super hard and the Conqueror Rune is great on her, but if you don't know how to lane, don't know how to use the daggers, don't know how to get resets, basically you're gonna spend 20 to 50 to 100 games learning her rather than mid lane. And you can very much translate those same principles over to learning something like a Fizz or a Talon. You really need to know the role before you switch to those. But on that note and on roaming, let's shift down to the support position. First up we have is Morgana. Why? Because she simply doesn't get punished easily at all. Her Q is great for engage as well as counter engage, especially during ganks. That black shield blocks all the hooks that the enemy supports weren't going to hit anyway. But in a lane with a Caitlyn or something like that, you can be very aggressive with your bindings, use your ultimate for kills and so on. And because it's core to actually go stopwatch into Zhonya's, you're always going to have that added safety against those assassins. Basically, it's good synergy with most comps and ADCs, a lot to do with that Q, very flexible, her wings look good and those are also flexible, and you can do insane damage once you have that lead. Now I know we all hate enchanters in general, but if you are looking to pick something up like that can heal, poke, CC, defend, engage, float, then Nami is the one you want. It won't take you very long to pick up the champion, the damage can be kind of obscene to be honest with you. The heal is great in lane because when your ADC is playing like all ADCs do, simply heal them up, make them feel good, especially if the pressure is bad in the lane. And then you also have absolutely insane teamfighting control. Using the tidal wave plus the bubble to start fights is great. You can also use your E for slow and damage, as well as W for damage, or simply you can use it to disengage. And on that note, you can also disengage with the ultimate. So basically, aggressive engages or defensive disengages, all of it plus lane sustain. What more could you want? Well, if you're a Cassiopeia main, you're probably jealous she gets to buy boots, but you know, one thing at a time. Now next up we have Nautilus. He can be the easiest kill lane to play because of his obscene damage for a tank, his disturbing amount of crowd control, simply looking for the hook can make people panic. And on that note, the roaming potential with Moby boots, not just decent, can be absolutely downright oppressive. Press R, get a flash. The difficulty here is because when you are an engager, he's not really disengager, you are an engager, so if your team isn't in a position to follow or you get caught out, you're pretty much just going to be, well, drowning. But if you're looking for a faster hook with greater range, the best field support that you can use, especially when you don't really play support, is Blitzcrank. Great for starters as well. Look for a hook, miss it. It's okay, you're just learning. Look for another hook, miss that one too. Your team starts talking back at you. Make one hook in the mid game, and now you have Baron. Hooks win games. It brings the target to you and doesn't make you go to them, so that you're not as much in danger as Nautilus. Because you bring the teammates to you, actually separate their team and you guarantee a flash, and if they don't have it, then you can simply kill them and now you have the teamfight advantage. So you can think of it like disappointing your date at mini-golf when they get really upset that you simply have no aim, except in solo queue, you just need to make one and all is forgiven. Risk-free, chill a bit, win lanes, snowball very nicely. And yes, Leona kinda does a lot of what we just said with Nautilus and Blitzcrank, but these two can be so much more easy in terms of your engage and learning the role. What you want to avoid, however, is Pyke. He's like an assassin or is an assassin, he's very slippery, and what you learn won't apply to other supports and can be very difficult to play, especially the concept of resets and fights, getting those combos right, learning in and outs, etc. On the other side of the same coin, yes, you can learn Senna, but she's a very unique champion, plays better in ADC anyway, and she's just weird and different. Exactly like Pyke and those other junglers won't let you learn the role of support as much as learning Senna, the support champion. And with that being said, we can finally go up to the top lane. And I think we all know I'm going to begin with Darius. This teaches you all about laning phase, how to trade, how to set up the lane to kill someone, understanding how to snowball, and considering the snowball is very easy once you get that lead, it can teach you a lot about that part because that's most important in solo lanes. Once you get a lead, you have to be able to keep it and understand how to go back and forth with that pressure. Item spikes, level spikes, and so on. Essentially and literally dunk whoever you're against. Can't really lose trades. It's difficult to when you have Conqueror plus the bleed plus the heal and then basically a nice dunk reset. It's hard to mess up, but does give you a little bit of skill expression there, and the fact that those jungle buffs for his damage are coming through means that if that ends up being something viable, especially in low elo, an added component to your champion pool. Now second to Darius, if I told you to guess what we were going to say, then you would have guessed Garen, and that's because he's a hybrid between a tank and a fighter. So he can carry and also be almost unkillable, at the same time very forgiving in that department. Regeneration means you can take terrible trades, and it doesn't really matter, well, you know, as long as you reset and don't int, and it's easier to play. Press Q, run at people, hit them, spin to win, shield, and then give them the full might of Demacia with your sword, just slam it down and people die. And also makes everyone say, wow, Garen is so OP. And again, you can also end up taking him in the jungle now, you know, if that sticks around, because why not? Third here, we're gonna throw you a pure tank, Shen. Yes, there are many others you can use like a Malphite, but the Shen is a great one to learn because he does good damage, you can play for lane, be a frontliner, and he gives you that added split push ability with a TP and ultimate. And not to mention that ultimate makes you learn map awareness. You have to pay attention like a jungler to when your lanes are fighting and when you need to press that button. Makes you move out of the lane, and when every top laner complains no top lane impact, that's because they expect the whole game to just be on pause while they're on their island. Don't. Leave the lane. Roam. Make an impact at the dragon fight. You can TP there. Win your lane such that you can save the TP for those fights. For Shen, this is much easier. You can simply split push until the fight, use your ultimate, and then TP back to lane. And the principles you learn while playing Shen in terms of top lane will greatly increase how you understand not only minion wave management and split push, but understanding general macro play from the top lane position. And this is something many top laners are sorely lacking in today's world. Fourth up on the split pushing note, we could really put Jax. There are a lot of other champions that we might suggest, but Jax is easy to play, scales very well, and the fact that his kit is quite simple in that you can be that flanking team fighter, you can very easily 2v1 in the late game, and that you whack towers faster than the Flash will play whack-a-mole, means he can teach you about that split pushing like a Tryndamere, but also give you the team fighting of something like a Shen. Except with more less shield on your teammates and more oh my god we can't kill him because he's Jax. Now what you want to avoid in this lane is those spicy picks that everyone likes to talk about. Aatrox is much harder to fight in lane. It will look like you're losing but you're actually not because you've got the turns, the bursts, the heals. There's a lot more nuance required in terms of succeeding with him, and Aurelia is also very similar. Yes, her win rate isn't that great at the moment anyway, but a good Aurelia can very much 1v9 a game. You have the ability to outplay and win most fights, and and once you have a lead, you really need to be overbearing with it, especially if it's a 1 or 2 level lead, maybe you've got 2 solo kills. But you can learn a lot about that phase of the game by playing an easier bruiser that's a bit more forgiving, things like the Darius. Alright, here we are again at the end of another lecture type episode, but I hope you enjoyed the insights and the list we compiled for you. If you're looking to switch lanes, we hope you do find success with these champions, especially if you can flex them to other roles as well. Don't forget to please like, share, and comment this video for Mobalytics, subscribe to the channel for more of those juicy videos coming very soon. I have been your host Virakayu, and as always I will see you all in the next video.